Hello, everyone. We're just going to wait 1 minute as everyone's coming in from the waiting room before we begin. Okay, so it looks like everyone is making their way into the event. So hello and welcome to the UBC Engineering Everything You Need to Know presentation. We are so excited that you joined us here today. My name is Marie Reed, and I'm an engineering advisor from the UBC Okanagan campus. My pronouns are she, her. I would first like to acknowledge that UBC's Okanagan campus is situated on the territory of the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their peoples. I would also like to acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of the land that you are joining us from today. So we have a really great presentation for you today. We have a few people who are going to be speaking. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Franco now, who's going to get us started today.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Marie. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today. My name is Franco Fung. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the Student Recruitment Officer for UBC Engineering at the Vancouver campus. I would like to acknowledge that our campus is situated on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam people. I would also like to acknowledge that you may be joining us from many places around the world, near and far, and acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. So again, thanks everyone for joining us here today. We've got lots of great info to share with you. And by the end of it, maybe you'll be an expert in what UBC Engineering can offer you. But before we dive into what it's like at UBC, I want to start by asking you all one question. So let's start things off with, what is engineering? I often find that students have many different answers to this. So if you're currently a high school student, you may have probably already taken some courses in math, in physics, chemistry, or biology. So based on your schoolwork, can you tell us, what do you think engineers would do? So we're going to open up the chat. So let us know. Type in the chat now. Let us know, what do you think engineers do? Oh, I see some answers coming in, some problem solving. Lots of that, for sure. I see some designing things, innovate, design systems to make life easier. Someone just straight up said math. Yes, there's a lot of that as well. Prototype, creating new innovations to aid the community. Make stuff, there's a lot of making. Um, Transforming, designing products, more solving problems. Lego, it's a great way to practice some design and innovation skills. I definitely agree with that. Uh, Engineers are people who are problem solvers using theory already discovered. All right, a lot of great answers. So my second question to you now is, what engineering creations do you interact with every day? You can also type that in the chat as well. Let's see what you have. Cars. Yes, there we go. That's probably one that's every day. Cell phone, robots, civil, bridges. A lot of bridges here in Vancouver, yes. Electronics, city infrastructure, amazing. You're all experts already, I'll have to say. So everyone seems to have a pretty good idea of what engineerings do. Maybe some other less obvious things, right? Like the water you drink, your cereal that you may have had in the morning, the Diet Coke you may have had for lunch, or even your recommendations that pop up on Netflix and Spotify. These can all draw ties to an engineer. So now that we have sort of an understanding of what engineers can do, let's hop over. Let's talk about a little bit about, what's the difference between science and engineering. Now, I ask this because sometimes the difference between science and engineering can be a little bit confusing. There can be lots of crossover between the two different areas. I know often that a lot of times when I speak with students, if they're interested in engineering, they might also be interested in science as well. Now, generally, scientists and engineers rather have different goals. Scientists may seek to describe and understand the physical and natural world. With engineers, however, engineers consider various criteria and constraints in order to design solutions to problems, needs, and wants that make the world better. So a lot of what you've all just talked about. And this can include our technology, environment, and medicine. Now, in science, if you choose to study science, you'll be focusing on the physical and natural world. You're going to gain that fundamental knowledge about how all these systems work together. And then you're going to make your observations. You're going to collect data. You're going to develop hypotheses. And then you're going to test your assumptions through experiments. when you study engineering, you still have that foot in the world of science. But the difference is that you're going to be using your understanding of science to develop solutions to specific problems. Again, something that you all mentioned earlier. An engineer's goal isn't to necessarily discover new scientific principles, but rather to apply those principles attained through scientific research to solve those real world problems. Of course, there are many instances where scientists and engineers will work together. So for instance, scientists, they know the human body inside out. They will be able to help inform the engineers on what knowledge is most relevant, and engineers will apply that knowledge. So for example, they can come up with solutions, including mass producing effective vaccines so that everyone in Canada and around the world can have access to it. Or they could create bionic arms, such as pictured on the screen. They can create these arms as a form of prosthetic. So there's just so many ways that engineers can make an impact on society. So overall, I'm glad that you're all here to learn more about how UBC engineering can get you started on this path. Now, if you choose to join us. As a student at UBC Engineering, you'll be joining one of the top ranked schools in Canada and in the world. So when you're here, you're going to be able to write your own story through the many unique experiences that we offer. Now, to speak more about the student experience, I'd now like to introduce to you Chloe, who will share a little bit more about her student journey so far. Over to you, Chloe.
Thank you, Franco. So, hi everyone. I am a third-year materials engineering student at the UBC Vancouver campus, and today I'm excited to share a bit about my UBC engineering experience, the community here, and the many opportunities available. So we are so excited that you are considering UBC engineering, and there is so much for you to look forward to throughout your degree. UBC Engineering fosters community. So right from the time you enter UBC Engineering, you'll have support systems like our first year orientations and have the opportunity to get involved with so many different clubs, which is a great way to connect with your peers. UBC Engineering ensures that students are well supported so they can navigate their interests. For instance, we have the engineering undergraduate societies at each campus, and they organize various events throughout the year and provide spaces for you to connect with your peers and seniors who can talk about their journeys. So I am currently the Vice President of Communications for the Engineering Undergraduate Society, the EUS, at the UBC Vancouver campus, and I've really enjoyed helping out throwing different events and just fostering more community. So the community within engineering is very strong, and that may just be because of how rigorous engineering can be. We overcome the challenges together, and that really strengthens our bonds. As such, even before first-year students begin their studies, they are put through an orientation program where they can meet other first-year students, and it has been said that friends from orientation often stay friends throughout their degrees. And I can testify to that, as I met my current roommates in the first-year orientation program, and we're still roommates, and I love them, and amazing people. You will also have ample opportunity to join a club and find your own community on campus. For instance, there are many clubs for underrepresented groups, such as Gears and Queers for the LGBTQ+ community, Women in Engineering, and many more. There are also many other ways to find your community at such a big university like UBC, through design teams or the more than 400 campus-wide clubs. Our campus-wide clubs consist of anything from book club, yoga club, dance, anime, knitting, and there's a varsity outdoor club. There are so many opportunities to connect with people who have the same niche hobbies that you have, or to learn something new. So I recently just joined the Varsity Outdoor Club, and I really enjoyed learning more about outdoor climbing and how to plan camping trips safely. And I've also participated in a couple of the trips that they've planned. So there's truly something for everyone here at UBC, and there are so many opportunities. At the Vancouver campus, we have over 30 student design teams that enable you to work in teams, explore your interests, and gain hands-on experience right from your very first year. So the design team that I'm on is Waste Knots. It's a sustainability-focused design team that I joined in my second year, and through Waste Knots, I've been able to enjoy studying and developing kombucha leather, which is what happens when you let kombucha ferment at room temperature and then hang the layer of bacteria that grows out to dry to evaporate all the liquid, and then you're left with a natural leather-like fabric. It's a little funky, but it's some really cool science, and being on this design team has been a great opportunity to get lab experience while a lot of my courses currently don't have labs. At the Okanagan campus, there are also many design teams, clubs, and affiliated chapters to expand your network, find your community, and develop expertise in your field of study. Later on in your degree, you can also customize your studies by choosing to pursue a minor, which is a secondary area of study. This is not a requirement, but it will allow you to have a secondary focus if you're interested. You'll also have the opportunity to gain paid work experience through our co-op program, which you can apply into at the beginning of second or third year. So I'm currently on co-op, and it's been a really great stepping stone into the workplace and a nice change of scenery from all the homework and studying. You may also consider going abroad to work, research, or study in your third year. So I've been looking into the CIE, the Coordinated International Experience Program, and I'm particularly interested in doing a term abroad in Europe. So the great thing about CIE is that it is specific for engineering students. UBC does have a general Go Global exchange program, but since we normally have very specific schedules and courses that we need to take, CIE is very helpful in laying that out and making the process a lot more straightforward. So all of these are completely optional, but it just goes to show that there are plenty of ways that you can customize your own degree experience and write your own UBC engineering story. Right from the very start of your degree, you'll be exposed to various hands-on design projects where you'll work in teams with other first-year students. And in my first year, we built a cardboard chair and a robotic claw. You can see the robotic claw up on the screen. And these projects were really great introductions to the engineering design process and good opportunities to work with my peers and improve my teamwork skills. You'll also have courses year after year that continue to build on these design team project experiences, and then this will ultimately lead to your final year's capstone design project. So the capstone design project is kind of the signature course for a lot of graduating students, and it's an opportunity for fourth year students to take everything they've learned in the classroom, work with your peers and industry professionals to solve real life engineering problems. So one capstone that I really enjoyed learning about was a project where the group of students responded to a community outreach request from Caslow Outdoor Recreation and Trail Society. So Caslow was facing a unique combination of elements that required some serious engineering for a bridge. And this project was also last year's winner of UBC Okanagan Capstone Design Project. And thanks to these UBC students, Caslow will soon have an epic bridge to foster safe adventure and feature a plaque of the UBC engineering students who took home the coveted capstone trophy. A lot of our students will also get involved in research later in their degree. So there's the opportunity for paid research experience, or you can do it on your own with the support from clubs like the Undergrad Research Opportunities Club that provides student access to mentorship and networking opportunities to get you started in your own research. So now Franco is going to join us again to chat more about our programs. So welcome back, Franco.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chloe. All right, so now that you've heard a little bit about what the UBC engineering student experience could look like, now let's start talking about what we can offer you. Now, overall at UBC Engineering, we are one program that is offered across two gorgeous campuses. So we have our Okanagan campus in Kelowna and the Point Grey campus in Vancouver. Now, regardless of what campus you'll apply to, you'll start in your foundational first year of the program, where you're going to take courses to build your foundation. So courses in things like engineering design, chemistry, physics, math, and English. And then you'll move into your specialization. Talk a little bit more about what that looks like in just a little bit. Now, a common question that I get from students is, how do I know which campus is right for me? Honestly, you have to check them out. I recommend that you do explore all the different unique opportunities and lifestyles that are offered across both campuses and their surrounding areas. You're going to be spending the next 4 to 5 years, however long you spend in your degree there. So make sure you go check them out and that you're comfortable in that space. If you aren't able to visit the campuses or cities in person, that's okay too. We have virtual campus tours available at both campuses, and you can also ask some of our current students questions through our Chat with a Current Student program. We also have a virtual open house that's going to be coming up, and Marie will touch on that a little bit later. So, what is an engineering degree? An undergraduate engineering degree is honestly a great starting point. Throughout your undergrad degree here, you're going to get so many great transferable skills that can take you anywhere. Engineering is, of course, a professional degree. It is one of the few professional degrees you can go straight into directly from high school. Some other professional programs may require a graduate degree before you can go into the workforce. However, of course, that's not the case here for engineering. Now, while you may find other schools, when I'm talking about engineering degree names, you may find that other schools may have some different engineering names, how they call their engineering degrees. Overall, in Canada, there's no standard naming system in Canada. Some schools may refer to it as a Bachelor of Engineering degree. Just want to clarify, here at UBC, we do call it the Bachelor of Applied Science degree. So in our engineering program, you're going to typically complete the 4-year program. And after graduation, you're fully equipped to join the workforce. That being said, however, you can choose to continue in take further studies and graduate studies. You can continue in an area of engineering or another professional degree like law, medicine, or business, where you can study like maybe a Master's of Business Administration degree, which is also known as an MBA. Now, if you choose to complete our co-op program, this will extend your degree to 5 years, but you're going to get up to over a year, up to 60 months of full-time paid work experience with it. So you can finish in 4 years, or if you choose co-op, it can extend it to 5 years overall. Now, one of the goals for a lot of students when they choose to study engineering is they want to become a professional engineer. So I don't know how many of you have actually looked into that process already, but want to take a moment to quickly touch on that. So to become a professional engineer, you have to complete your undergrad engineering degree. So if you complete the UBC Engineering one, that will check off that box. After that, you'll need to get 4 years of work experience as an engineer in training. So that's what they call an EIT. One note with the work experience requirement, if you do choose to do the co-op, co-op can count towards up to 12 months of your co-op can count towards those 4 years of work experience. Now, after 4 years of work experience as an EIT, and then you complete the law and ethical requirements, then you can become a professional engineer. So that's what is a quick overview, a little bit about the degree. Now that we've done this overview, let's dive into our programs. So at our Okanagan campus, there are 5 engineering undergraduate programs to choose from. So you can go into civil, computer, electrical, mechanical, and manufacturing engineering. So you will choose your engineering specialization at the end of first year. What's unique at the UBC Okanagan campus is engineering students are guaranteed placements in any of the 5 engineering programs. So for example, this means if you are interested in civil engineering, you're guaranteed a seat in civil engineering. This differs a little bit different than our Vancouver campus. At our Vancouver campus, we have 14 specializations that you can go into, and they're all shown here on this slide. So you can do biomedical, there's electrical, engineering, physics, geological engineering, integrated engineering, just to name a few. So again, students like the Okanagan campus, students will also apply for their specialization at the end of their first year. However, at our campus, students, you will have to go through a 2nd-year placement process, which is a competitive process to place you in the programs that you rank. So placements will be based on your academic results. Overall, however, in your first year, you're going to get a taste of each of these specializations. So if you're wondering, how do I pick? First year will help you with that by giving you a taste of everything. And maybe you might find something you've never thought about that might pique your interests. So overall, you can worry about that placement process once you are a UBC engineering student, and you'll learn more about that placement process throughout the first year. So now you've heard a little bit of our programs. I'm now going to pass it over to Marie to go over admissions, the process, and overall what we're looking from you.
Thanks, Franco. So like Franco said, we're going to dive right into admissions now. So this is especially useful if you're still picking your courses or if you're about to apply to UBC Engineering in the next few months here. So the first thing I want to talk about is the admissions routes into UBC if you're interested in our Bachelor of Applied Science program. So there's several different pathways to enter UBC Engineering. The first one is the direct entry to UBC. So you can just apply directly into the UBC Vancouver or UBC Okanagan campuses. Students can also choose to start their education at another post-secondary institution. This is a great option if you want to stay closer to home for your first year, or if you don't quite have the GPA to get into first year engineering at UBC. There's a few different transfer programs that students can explore, including our engineering transfer program and common first year transfer routes. These programs allow students to complete their first year of engineering at a partner institution before transferring to UBC. There is also an option to attend a bridging program. So these programs allow students to complete a technology diploma at a partner institution before transferring to UBC. I know that's a lot of information, and we have more information about GPA and timeline requirements for this on our webpage if you're interested in looking a little bit deeper into those transfer routes. If you're an Indigenous student, UBC's Aboriginal admissions policy aims to increase accessibility to Indigenous students. I recommend reviewing our Aboriginal Access Studies program and the UBC Langara Transfer Partnership. These are additional pathways to study at UBC. Lastly, academically outstanding international students who do not meet the English language admission requirements may still be admissible through our Vantage 1 program. So this is listed here as Vantage College. So today we're going to be specifically focusing on admissions requirements for students entering directly from high school. So high school students should plan to apply in their grade 12 year. We highly encourage you to apply before December 1st, but the final deadline to apply is January 15th. If you aren't in grade 12 yet and you're here, don't worry. The slides coming up next are going to be very helpful for planning out your high school courses. So next, I'm going to be talking about the degree-specific requirements and the requirements to apply for UBC for both of our campuses. If you're interested in the Bachelor of Applied Science. So I'm going to start with the Okanagan campus first. So students that are interested applying for the Okanagan campus, you're going to need to meet the general UBC requirements. And this includes meeting UBC's English language requirement. You need to graduate from high school, and it's recommended that you take at least 6 courses at the grade 12 level. For Bachelor of Applied Science degree-specific requirements at the Okanagan campus for students from British Columbia, these are English 12, Pre-Calculus 12, Calculus 12, and Physics 12. We also show here the degree-specific requirements for Alberta and Ontario. If the province or country that you're from is not listed here, that's okay. We did include the website at the bottom of this slide if you want to go look up the specific requirements from the province, or if you're an international student from the country you would be applying from. So now we're going to move over to the Vancouver specific requirements. So they're very similar. The UBC general requirements are pretty much the same. However, there is an additional general requirement to meet a minimum of 70% in grade 11 or grade 12 English. The degree-specific requirements are also a little bit different. You're going to notice that students from British Columbia applying to start in September of 2025 at the Vancouver campus require a language at the grade 11 level. Another difference is that while you should plan to have both chemistry and physics 12, you could be admitted with only one. If you are currently in grade 11 or younger, or are planning to start at the Vancouver campus in September 2026 or later, the only grade 11 courses that will be required are chemistry and physics. So what is important to note here, I know we just gave you so much information. So what I really want you to take away from is that these degree-specific requirements are really like a checklist that need to be completed by the end of your grade 12 year, but they do not need to be completed before you apply. Like I said, the link to the u.ubc.ca requirements page is on here. All of this information is listed there as well, so you can easily access all of these details whenever you would like to review it. So now we want to talk for what does UBC look for? So for both campuses, UBC will also consider the types of courses that you took in high school. So they're looking for things like, did you pursue all of your academic interests by taking a range of different subjects? Did you challenge yourself by taking academic courses, advanced courses, or first-year university courses? Did you demonstrate knowledge in a chosen area of study by taking courses related to the degree you have applied to? While these components are not required for admission, they can strengthen a student's application. As a reminder, the degree-specific courses we look for at both campuses were listed for students from British Columbia. So if you aren't studying in BC, we encourage you to go to the website to see what your course equivalents will be. So now you might be wondering, okay, you've given me all the courses and a general overview, but really, how does UBC assess my application? So admissions is based on a combination of your personal profile and your academic profile. So there's no specific grade that will ensure that you get admitted. Spending time on your personal profile and doing well in your grade 11 and 12 courses will really help you be the most competitive that you can be for admissions. Your personal profile will consist of short essay questions on the application, and these really give you a chance to highlight experiences that you've had outside of the classroom. It should be focused more on reflection and what you've learned and the number of experiences that you've had. Your academic profile will look at both your overall and core academic assessment. These will consider all your grade 11 and 12 academic courses, regardless of which year you took them. The core courses will include all of those degree-specific courses that you saw on the previous slides, but will also include other academic courses that fall into categories such as language arts, mathematics and computation, and sciences. So if you decide that UBC Engineering is right for you and you want to apply to our campus, when you're ready to apply, you're going to go to Education Planner to BC to get started. You're going to start by providing all of your basic information, and then you're going to proceed to select UBC as a school that you're applying to. You'll be able to select two choices on your application. So this could mean that you're applying to a program at the same campus, or you're applying to programs at both of the campuses. So what that could look like is what's shown here on this slide. First choice could be the campus as UBC Okanagan, the program as Bachelor of Applied Science. Second choice, campus UBC Vancouver, program Bachelor of Applied Science. If you want to stay only at one campus, you can choose two programs as first choice, second choice at the same campus. So for example, campus UBC Okanagan, program Bachelor of Applied Science, choice two, campus UBC Okanagan, program Science or Arts, for instance. So what we really want to look at is carefully considering which program you prefer, as your first choice program will always be assessed first. Your second choice will only be considered if you are not eligible for your first choice program. So make sure you put the program that you really want to be in your first choice. I also want to mention that the images shown on the screen are examples from last year's application period. Applications for this year will be opening soon, and what you will see if you decide to apply is the term selection will be for 2025-2026 winter, September to April. So now I want to touch a little bit on scholarships. The scholarships here are shown for Canadian students. So one of the main reasons we encourage applications by December 1st is so that you can be considered for some of these scholarships that have that deadline of December 1st. So to be considered for the merit-based awards, students will need to apply by December 1st and indicate they would like to be considered for these awards. Typically, it's a little checkbox that you click when as part of your application. For students in need of financial assistance, we encourage you to submit the application to be considered for the Centennial Scholars Entrance Award or our Beyond Tomorrow Scholars Award for Black Canadian students. UBC also offers merit-based and needs-based scholarships for international students. You can find more information about these scholarships at the link at the bottom of this slide. I recommend for international students that you look specifically into the International Scholars Awards early, as the deadline to apply for these awards is actually November 15th, with the criteria of applying to UBC by December 1st. So we get a lot of questions about scholarships. It's a chance at free money. We encourage you to apply to external scholarships as well. There's great ways to search for this. You can search engineering, STEM, tech, and for women, you can search for women engineering and women in STEM. So imagine a world without engineers. There would be no buildings, no bridges, no medicine, no transportation. Life is pretty good, but engineers work every day to make our lives better than what they are right now. Engineers improve the environment, our technology, our medicine. They build solutions to solve our problems and make the world a better place. Just think about all of the great things that you could do as an engineer. So before we wrap up today, I just want to talk about two really exciting events that we also have coming up in the next month. The first one is our virtual open house, which is taking place on October 17th and October 18th. This online event is going to provide opportunities for you to attend presentations about admissions, an international student session, a transfer student session. We have great panels talking about student experience and women engineering. And we have opportunities for you to come learn about all of our programs and speak with faculty and students from these programs. So we highly encourage you to attend the virtual open house to hear from many of our faculty and students and to learn more about our programs. On November 2nd, our on-campus open houses are happening at both of our campuses. So there's one at the Point Grey campus in Vancouver and one at the Okanagan campus in Kelowna. These are great opportunities to visit our campus, see some of our engineering spaces, speak with faculty and students, and actually come see some of our design teams and clubs as well on campus. So you can register for both of these events at the website shown here on this slide. So the remainder of the session today is going to be open for Q&A for you guys to have all of your questions about UBC Engineering answered. For this, please use the Q&A function. This will actually give you the ability to upvote questions, and I just opened it and I see we already have so many questions in the Q&A, which I'm super happy to see already. Just to reiterate, we're not going to be using the chat, so we can just focus on all those questions coming into the Q&A function. I would also like to just take a minute to introduce John Jones, who is an engineering academic advisor from the UBC Vancouver campus, who's going to be joining us for the Q&A portion of this event today. Franco, John, and I are available to answer questions, but don't forget we also have Chloe here, who is a current student, who can answer any questions about the UBC Engineering student experience. Please note that we're not going to be able to answer any very specific admissions related questions during this session due to a lot of times we need to chat with you a little bit more in depth before we can answer those questions. If you have some specific admissions questions, please feel free to reach out to Franco or myself. You can reach us through the emails that are shown here on this slide. Okanagan will reach myself and the Vancouver will reach Franco. We are happy to answer any of those questions. So I was going to say, feel free to enter your questions, but I feel like we're already way past that point and we're ready to start answering some questions here. So I invite Franco and Chloe and John to join me back on here and unmute and we can start answering some of these questions.
All right, thanks, Marie. Okay, so let's dive into some of these questions that have come in. I see the first one over here. Are there any co-op options related to astrophysics? I actually don't know. I don't have an answer right now. I don't know if John or Chloe or Marie, you know of anything. I was going to say we do have. You can talk to our co-op team during the virtual open house. They'll be there in a booth as well. They'll be there on Friday, October 18th. From 5:15 to 6:30 Pacific time. They'll be available. I think they'd be a great option. Maybe they can give you an answer on that, but
Yeah.
anyone?
I would say an abundance of co-op
Okay.
options kind of across the board, lots of different employers, lots of different opportunities. I think even beyond the connections you could make through the co-op program, there's also kind of resources for internships outside of that and lots of other opportunities across UBC that you can engage with. So absolutely on the table in terms of specifics with employers and all those kind of different things would certainly be something to get into with a co-op advisor once you've joined the co-op program, but absolutely possibilities there for sure.
I don't have anything else to add. There's lots of different opportunities. The co-op program is one program across two campuses. So regardless of a campus you decide you would like to attend, if you want to come to UBC Engineering, if you decide to go into co-op, you are accessing the same co-op program. Like Franco and John said, many opportunities. There's also opportunities to bring your own co-op jobs to that group if you find something as well. What I've done though is I've added the UBC Applied Science Co-op webpage into the chat. Has a lot of great resources and it gives you a nice little snapshot of what that would look like if you want to look a little bit deeper into some of the different co-op options that we currently have.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I think this is next question is from a student in Alberta. Does UBC still provide an admissions average boost to Alberta students? Does anybody have an answer for that?
I can answer it in general. I know that depending on there is different admissions processes depending on where students are applying from. We are not admissions officers. I just want to clarify. So we don't have the specific details of how the averages come in and how those are made equivalent across all of our applicants. For Alberta students, historically, there has been an average boost. I don't know the exact percentage, but if you send us an email, we can connect you with one of our admissions officers who could provide you with more specific details on that. So the next question is for I lost it here, sorry, for the Vancouver campus. So it's asking if engineering science is offered by UBC Vancouver.
Yeah, so I can speak to some of that, and I think we've had quite a few questions across different questions, obviously with lots of them here about second year placement and some of the specializations. So I'll maybe speak about that just a little bit here in hopes of answering a few questions in one. So the closest thing, I guess, would be engineering physics, being also one of our most competitive specializations for second year, as a kind of broad engineering program with lots and lots of science, lots and lots of physics involved in it. Now, beyond that, lots of options for second year placement. There is also, as we touched upon in the presentation here, the options for minor degrees as well. Many science subjects could be considered for a minor, so absolutely opportunities there if there's things outside of engineering you'd like to engage with as part of your studies. In terms of second year options across the board, obviously, as we said at Vancouver, competitive, but certainly something that we can work with you through. I know we said in the presentation, this is something you'll learn a lot about if you move through first year at Vancouver. We cover it both as part of the curriculum in some of our courses, and lots of opportunity there. Whether you know now exactly what area you want to go into or you don't, you're going to be surrounded by academics, experts, advisors, lots of people alongside the kind of content you'll be taking that will be able to kind of coach you through a lot of that process, a lot of the intricacies of it, how it works, and also what's going to be the best outcomes for you. So while you're learning some of those things academically and figuring out, okay, I love doing this project work, I love doing these specific topics, these specific subjects, that's going to lead me to where I want to be. You'll also have lots of people giving you some further guidance, looking at that long-term picture, the employability, all of the opportunities for you at UBC. So we can absolutely help you out with all of those things and all of those processes. You don't have to have all of the answers right now, which is very lucky for all of us.
I see another question that's kind of similar, which is what are some things that you can do as a high school student to decide if you want to pursue engineering and then get a better idea of what the job and what an engineer does afterwards? So some of the things that I did in high school to kind of figure out where I wanted to go and if I wanted to pursue engineering or not, was attend events like these. So these are really great, but also go to different university fairs, talk to the different schools, and kind of get a sense of the programs. And then I just did a little bit of side research on just kind of to learn a little bit more and try and understand what engineers do. To be honest, it did kind of take me until like midway or a bit after first year to fully get a better idea. But another thing that is useful if you are able to is if you know anyone who is an engineer or have any close family members or know someone who has close family members, to reach out and just have a chat with them and a bit about like what they do as their job and then their experience through engineering and university as well. So all of those kind of different pieces helped me make my decision in why I wanted to go to UBC Engineering.
Thanks, Chloe. That's such a great explanation. Thank you for sharing your pathway in. And I see there's a few questions that are sort of along those lines, but related to how those experience may assist with their application for UBC Engineering that are coming in. And I just wanted to reiterate that part of your application at UBC, you're going to submit your personal profile. This is where you're sharing some of those personal experiences. You're answering some short essay questions. That's where you're going to be pulling from different things in your life that might be related to clubs, sports, work, whatever sort of is a reflection of what you would like to share with UBC, the different skills you may have learned and how you've grown through these experiences. So each of those different for every applicant. What you share doesn't have to be related to engineering. Like we mentioned before, it's really based on that reflection that you're having as part of that personal profile. I also saw a few questions related to the percentage to get into engineering. There isn't a specific percentage that we share for prospective students, and that's because your application is based on both the personal profile and your academic profile. The personal profile carries a lot of weight. It is very important, and that is why we don't give that specific grade or a range because your application is heavily relies on that personal profile along with your grades. There was also a question here. Sorry, Chloe, there was another one in here that I was gonna send your way, but I'm gonna have to scroll and find it again.
I do see one I think that would be useful to answer now. So does it make a difference to apply earlier, and when do you find out if you have been accepted? So as mentioned earlier, there are 2 application deadlines. So December 1st and January 15th, I believe. Yes, so if you apply before December 1st, which is our early admission deadline, you will also be considered for our entrance scholarship. So that does have a benefit. And then you will hear back from us earlier, but then otherwise applying before that or January 15th, there's no other impact on your application other than the consideration of the scholarships, and you'll hear back from us. So I applied before the early admission deadline and heard back in about January. So it kind of helps me to prep a bit more, and I had more time to think about my decision. So that might be something to consider.
Thanks, Chloe. That's great insight. And like Chloe said, December 1st is that early admission deadline, and then January 15th is that hard deadline to apply to UBC. A really quick question here. Someone's asking, is the virtual open house both days, October 17th and October 18th, or do we attend only one? It's actually one event that's across both days. If you go to that registration page, and I can just go back one slide as we talk about this, it will show what's happening for specific time periods on October 17th and October 18th. We have some live sessions, and then there's some sessions that you can access anytime on October 17th or 18th. So if you go to this engineering.ubc.ca/open house, you can learn more about all the different sessions, when they're happening, and how you can access those. Chloe, I found the other question for you here as you're answering. We have a student who is asking about what is the benefit to attending UBC right from first year compared to maybe going to a transfer school and transferring in. So I thought maybe you could share a little bit about your first year, maybe some of the things that you experienced in first year that helped you to select your specialization at the end of your first year.
Yeah, definitely. So something that I really loved about UBC, I guess compared to other schools in Canada, is the general first year. So I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I think if I'd gone to another school, I would have ended up in environmental or something completely different than materials engineering, which I'm in now, but I really love materials. And so it was really great to have the time to think and also kind of get acquainted with the campus, which would be one benefit of starting first year at UBC instead of a transfer program. But the transfer programs will also give you that same foundation. So just the time to be acquainted and then learn directly through talking to upper years while on campus and just in the different classes of like their experiences in the different programs to help me make my decision.
Thanks, Chloe. And we do have quite a few students who decide to go through our engineering transfer programs. They are a really great pathway if you want to stay closer to home, if you didn't initially get into UBC Engineering. So I do highly recommend that students look into those pathways as well. Like I said, there is a cohort of students that come in, so you're not coming in on your own. Our advisors are here, like John, to be able to help you if you have any questions along the way. At the Okanagan campus, we have many advisors as well that are specifically there to share that information about our specializations and to help you make those decisions if you still have questions about what we offer at the Vancouver Okanagan campuses. John, did I miss anything? Anything you wanted to add?
No, absolutely. That is absolutely what I would say as well. Lots of ways to get here, lots of ways to get help when you do get here. So very happy anytime for you to connect with us. A little while up in the chat as well, I put links to both of our advising offices. So if anyone would like to reach out to us after, you can scroll up a little bit and find where I've popped that in the chat as well. And there's also a question that I'd like to just jump on here, because someone has asked, can you apply to both campuses and choose 4 programs, 2 each, or just 2 programs overall? Now, the wonderful news, as you might have just heard, is we have a general engineering first year. So you're just applying to engineering. You're welcome to apply to both campuses, of course. And then your specialization would come later. So again, not a decision you have to make at this stage as an applicant. Very much something we can guide you through as you move through things later on.
That's great. Thanks so much for clarifying that, John. So I see there's a question here. Do international students have to apply by November 15th to get considered for scholarships? I just want to clarify that there's specific scholarship called the International Scholars Program. If you are interested in applying for those international scholarships at UBC, you need to submit your application for those scholarships by November 15th, and then you need to apply to UBC by December 1st. So we will be sharing this recording out to everybody within a few days after the presentation. So you can go back to those slides, you can pull that website out, and you can check out those International Scholars Awards if that's something that you're interested in. Sorry, I'm just scanning through some of these questions. We answered a lot of them here. Oh, Chloe, do you know what the dorms are like in Vancouver?
Yeah, I was in first year residence.
Perfect.
So we have 3 main residences on the Vancouver campus, and they're all about within a 10-minute walk to your classes. The campus is fairly large, but generally you can get anywhere within 10 minutes, maybe a little speed walking required. They were pretty nice, good community. Some are slightly newer than others, and then each of them have their own dining hall, and there's various room types. So I was in a single connected, meaning I shared a bathroom with one other person, but some of the dorms have shared floor bathrooms. You may have a roommate, you may not. There's a couple variations, and from what I remember, the room selection was lottery. But you can put your preferences, so they may take that into account. But you'll just be placed anywhere, and it is guaranteed for all first years as long as you fill out the application before a certain deadline, which I believe is May 1st.
That's all correct, Chloe. Thanks for sharing that. We do get a lot of questions about living in residence. We do encourage first year students to live in residence if they can. It's a really great way to meet your friend group, which Chloe had shared earlier. And it's also a really nice way to be right on campus, on either of our campus, and have that guaranteed housing if you apply by May 1st.
I now commute, and I kind of miss not having to wake up really early for my class. I could just roll out of bed 15 minutes before and then run and just sit down and go back to sleep.
See, another great perk.
Yeah.
I see there's some questions here about transferring between campuses, between our engineering programs. So I just wanted to touch on that a bit. It is a very common question. So for students who start at the UBC Okanagan campus, there is an option if you would like to apply to transfer to the Vancouver campus at the end of their first year. However, what I want to really clarify is that it's extremely competitive to transfer between campuses. There's only about 15 seats available to transfer between the Okanagan and the Vancouver campus each year. So what we always recommend is that students start at the campus they would like to finish their degree at. For the Vancouver campus as well, you can apply to transfer to the Okanagan campus. It's competitive as well. There's limited seats to transfer from Vancouver to Okanagan in the same way. So yeah, if you have your heart set on a specific program at the Vancouver campus, it's best to put that at your first choice. If you have your heart set on a specific program at Okanagan, put that as your first choice, because that's the best way to guarantee you'll be at the campus and in the as close to in the program as you would like to be.
I see a question here asking about the pre-BME program. So in first year at the Vancouver campus, there is a pre-BME, meaning you fill out an additional application along with your general UBC application, and you would be placed into a slightly different first year program. But this would mean that you have, as long as you meet certain requirements, more of a guaranteed placement into biomedical engineering. It's the other advantage with this is that if you know you want to complete BMEG in second year, you won't have to take additional summer courses. So that is an option.
Thanks, Chloe. I do have another question for you here as well. There's a question here about undergrad engineering students. Do they operate in cohorts, as in the same group of students all take the same courses together?
We used to have standard timetables, so I believe you are probably registered in courses with a certain group of students, since that's how the registration generally works, so that you'll have at least a handful of people that you'll see in each of your classes, which I did. So it's somewhat of a cohort, but also you may be taking slightly different classes than some of the people. So it's not like completely new people in every single class. You'll see some familiar faces. I found that there wasn't too much of like a consistent cohort though, and I made a lot of my connections through just different activities and like residence, and then just finding a group of people to study with. But that is a nice way to meet people as well, as you'll see some similar people in a couple classes.
Thanks, Chloe. That's is the benefit. One of the benefits of our foundational first year is that all of our first year engineering students are taking those same courses in physics, chemistry, English, engineering design. So you get to see those students in your classes build the relationships with those students and work together as teams. But like Chloe was saying, there's lots of other opportunities as well. I see there's a question here about if we can explain how guaranteed placement works at the Okanagan campus. So at UBC Okanagan, like Franco mentioned earlier, engineering students are guaranteed program placement. So that means at the end of your first year of study, you have an opportunity to basically select the program you would like to continue in. It's really easy. We send you a survey, you select the one you would like, and then you are placed in that program. So if throughout your first year, you're going to be learning about all of the 5 programs that we have, you have opportunities to ask questions about those programs, explore, and figure out which one's right for you. And then at the end of that first year, you tell us, I would like to go into civil engineering or manufacturing or computer engineering. And then you're placed into that program. So just as simple as that.
I should also jump in and speak to guaranteed placement at UBCV, which is also on a different scale, something that is kind of available to certain students. So you may hear of that as well. If you're looking at guaranteed placement and reading our website, reading our materials, there is certain pathways to that. It is very strict and very specific and only available to certain students, certain applicants. So that may be something you come across as well. If you're reading about guaranteed placement, looking at both campuses and a little bit confused, you would receive all guidance on all of the criteria required to fulfill that if you were eligible. And again, advising team would always be very happy if we find ourselves in that position to talk through all of your options and everything that might be available to you and what's going to be best for you too.
Thanks, John. Chloe, there's a question here for you. It's what is your best general tip for first year university at UBC?
Get enough sleep. That's probably my best one. And that sleep fuels the brain, and then you have enough energy to study. A couple more tips though are, as I mentioned, like I always studied with my peers, and so we were able to help each other. And so having a little community and support system is also really important. But also sometimes I would be with them for a while and people will have more energy than I do. So knowing your limits and making sure that you go to bed on time and get those 8 hours if that's what you need is also really important.
Awesome. Thanks, Chloe, for sharing. I wanted to share a tip that the current students have told me that they share a lot with our prospective students, and is that they should have went and talked to their professor sooner when they had questions, attending those office hours that the professors have available in their courses. A lot of times they said, I don't know why I didn't just go when I had my questions. So I find a lot of the recent advice I've been hearing is the faculty are here for you. Go and chat with them. Don't wait till your midterm or final to approach your professors with your questions. John, do you have any insights from talking with current students?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love to say come and see advising as well, because, this is a whole new environment for you often. You're arriving on at UBCV, a huge campus. At UBCO is still something very different, maybe, for what you've been at before. So definitely something where, if we can come and see our advisors, get some insight, look at things like at UBCV at the moment, we're running time management workshops, trying to help students adapt to all of these new things, these new ways of studying that come with being a university student, as well as such a heavy engineering course load. So absolutely something where engaging with us proactively and advising, coming to see us, and just not approaching it like you're doing it on your own, seeking community, seeking guidance, seeking help, whether that's from other students, professors, or from advising or other UBC services as well. We're absolutely here to help.
Yeah, and on that note, I'd also add that a big thing that I really enjoyed, but was a bit scary, was stepping outside of my comfort zone, because it was brand new environment. I didn't know too many people, but even just saying hi to the person next to you in class or showing up to a couple of events. I got involved with the Engineering Undergraduate Society as a photographer, so I could kind of show up with my camera, witness a couple of things, but then it was really easy to go up and talk to people and make those connections and then just get more involved. And now I'm the vice president of communications and even more involved than I expected. But just those little steps have really helped me to build my community here at UBC.
It's great advice, Chloe. And I think that's one of the hardest things to do in first year is taking that initial step outside of your comfort zone, because everything is really new. So thanks so much for sharing your story. I know we're right at time here. There's one question I just wanted to answer quickly related to admissions, and that was one related to if I apply by that December 1st early admissions deadline, will I be automatically considered in the regular admissions pool if I don't get early admission? And the answer is yes. So when you apply on December 1st as part of early admissions, if you don't get that early admissions offer, that's okay. You're going to be automatically assessed with the January 15th group as well. And then you'll hear a response from UBC in the spring. So you only have to apply once if you decide that's December 1st or January 15th, whichever of those deadlines is right for you. So we're gonna wrap up now. I just want to say a really big thank you to all of you for coming today to chat with us. I want to thank John for being here, as well as Chloe and Franco for sharing all of your advice today. If you have, I know there were so many questions that came in. I really appreciate all of you asking all these great questions. And I know we didn't get to all of them today. So on the slide here, you can reach myself at the Okanagan campus at soe.advising@ubc.ca. You can reach Franco at Vancouver at outreach@apsi.ubc.ca. Please feel free to email us anytime. We are here to help you. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening, day, wherever you are, and we look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye, everyone.